Embarrassing fashion trends every girl thought looked good in the early 2000s. For every pair of bootcut jeans and bedazzled sunglasses, there's a girl cleaning out her closet wondering, what was I thinking? If you want proof of how much time has passed, just look back at some of these iconic and memorable fashion trends from the early 2000s. We rounded up some of the worst because it's just more fun that way, and also because there are very few styles that actually look good. Now, keep watching for the most embarrassing fashion trends and styles that every girl thought looked good in the early 2000s. Number 22, tank top. If you grew up in the 2000s, you probably thought that accessorizing your tank top was the equivalent to dressing up. People aren't exaggerating when they say that their closet staple and style in the early 2000s was colored tanks. Tank tops with jeans, with skirts, with sweatpants, you name it. People thought they went with everything, and if they added a necklace or a couple of bangles, they were ready for a night out. Number 21, wristbands. You thought wristbands meant for sweat-made acceptable bracelets. Well, newsflash, in the 2000s, people wore them as fashion accessories. Today, I don't think anybody on the fashion runway or red carpet would be caught dead wearing wristbands. Do you know what completely unnecessary accessory every girl in the 2000s wore? Well, stick around to the end and you'll find out. Number 20, clever t-shirts. You had an impressive, yet shameful collection of clever t-shirts. You had t-shirts that were a play on popular slogans. You had t-shirts saying boys were scum, or maybe you just had a t-shirt with some sassy quote on it. You even believed these t-shirts made you edgier, even though looking back, insulting someone using your t-shirt doesn't exactly scream original. Number 19, bedazzled sunglasses. People never felt they were cooler than when they wore their first pink-tinted pair of sunglasses with a rhinestone heart at the top right. People who rocked this look thought they had the best style on earth. Not only were a lot of these sunglasses rhinestone-studded and tinted, oftentimes they were also rimless and covered half your face. Please bring these back. Keep watching as we continue to count down the worst fashion trends from the early 2000s. Number 18, bucket hat. You probably owned an embarrassing bucket hat that you've since burned. However, not being a child star like Lindsay Lohan, you were probably too poor to afford the real thing, so it was most likely a Gucci knockoff. Or maybe some other equally embarrassing, Denim perhaps, version of it. Who decided this actually added to any outfit? Number 17, a pashmina. You owned a pashmina, and you thought it worked with any outfit. You could probably only afford or justify buying one color, but that didn't stop you from taking any opportunity to wear it. Whether pink, purple, or green like Cameron Diaz, you made this scarf work with any shirt, jacket, or dress you owned. Number 16, long, pleasant-looking tops or dresses over jeans. I have no idea who convinced people that this style was a good idea, but we actually thought, at one point in time, that a dress belonged over jeans. How did this happen? To make matters worse, like lots of people, you probably wore those dresses over flared jeans because there just wasn't enough material happening already. Number 15, pin straight hair. You were hair straightener happy. You also wore shiny, barely there lip gloss. You never felt better than when you had just finished straightening your hair. Having pin straight hair was the equivalent to you getting an updo at the salon. Sometimes, when you were feeling adventurous, you added small face-framing braids on either side of your face, or a couple more throughout your hair because you thought it made you look like you had great style. Newsflash, you didn't. Number 14, trucker hats. You wore trucker hats. It's hard to believe how popular this trend became, that even celebrities wore them on red carpets, but it's not an exaggeration when I say the trucker hats became so big, you wore them when you were dressing up. Also, at least one of the trucker hats you owned was probably Von Dutch. Number 13, peekaboo highlights. If you were a blonde, you tried black or red, or maybe both, peekaboo highlights. You also used blue eyeshadow way too often. We can probably blame pop stars like Christina Aguilera for this popular hair trend, but at some point in the early 2000s, if you were blonde, you probably thought it was a good idea to add really dark highlights in your hair. Or Claire's extensions if your mom didn't let you do that kind of thing. Number 12, chunky highlights. If you were brunette, you tried really obvious chunky highlights. If you were a brunette trying to get on the blatantly obvious highlights that looked nothing close to your natural hair color look, then you probably asked your hairdresser for some chunky red or blonde streaks. You also thought Destiny's Child would stay together forever. They didn't. Number 11, skinny scarf. You owned a skinny scarf, and you wore it even if it wasn't cold. At some point in the early 2000s, a skinny scarf was the equivalent to a necklace. People were convinced that this fashion trend actually looked good. You also had like 3 chunky brown belts, right? Number 10, cropped pirate pants. At least one pair you owned was probably camo. I'm not sure if the successful Pirates of the Caribbean franchise contributed to this, but there seemed to have been some strange phase of looking like a pirate in the early 2000s. From ripped t-shirts to swashbuckling pants, for some reason, we were really feeling these baggy versions of capri pants we all loved way too much. Number 9, bathing suit tops. For some reason, bathing suit tops were really in around this time too. So was Charlie's Angels. It seems like in the 2000s, pretty much anything could be played off as a shirt, even a bandana. Don't laugh, you know you tried it. I do have to admit, I secretly enjoyed that the fashion of the early 2000s was so free, but really, bathing suits are a stretch. Literally. Number 8, you added weird accessories to your jeans. I don't know why we felt it necessary to add more stuff to already tacky statement jeans. From various terrible belts to weird little lace bandeaus to just tying a scarf around them, we just couldn't get enough of decorating our favorite pair of pants. Number 7, the newsboy cap. If you weren't wearing a bucket hat or a trucker hat, then you were probably opting for the even better option, that is a newsboy cap. Because nothing is funkier than wearing a cap that makes you look like you just finished your newspaper run, especially when you're an award-winning artist. Number 6, you had jeans that tied in the front or at the sides. For some reason, it was really attractive, or so we thought, to wear pants that tied up at the crotch. There was no real functionality to the laces being where they were, and no excuse why a zipper wasn't perfectly acceptable and more reasonable alternative. Number 5, cowboy boots. You thought cowboy boots made an outfit better. They didn't. For some reason, cowboy boots were all the rage. Anyway, remember when you wore cowboy boots with a denim miniskirt, jeans, or even a dress? Even though you'd never listened to a single country song or stepped foot on a farm? Yeah, we forgot that too. Number 4, low-rise jeans. All your jeans were low-rise. Most of them were probably faded and flared at the bottom too. Remember the good old days when you could barely bend down for fear of your underwear peeking out because your jeans were just that low? Just kidding. I don't think anyone is upset that this fashion trend is over. Number 3, you owned a shirt that opened at the bottom. You also had a belly button ring too, right? Any excuse to show off that midriff and we were on it. You probably went with all your friends to get that belly button ring, and you went through the poof phase at least once because for some reason we can no longer explain. We all believed that it was way attractive to add a little poof to all of our ponytails and half updos. Number 2, tiny shoulder bags. Tiny shoulder bags were so in. I'm guessing at some point in the 2000s, you owned a shoulder bag. Denim tiny shoulder bags were pretty trendy too. Yikes. Number 1, bangs. Some celebrity convinced you to get bangs. You tried to rock those front bangs at least once, even though they were not so fetch, and you could barely see through them. They also got oily in less than a day, and you had to constantly wash them. The sacrifices we made for fashion. Now that you've made it to the very end, Here's the completely unnecessary accessory that every girl in the 2000s felt they needed to wear. A belt. You added a belt to everything, whether it be braided belt that helped keep a sweater wrapped around your midsection, a studded belt at the top of your t-shirt, or a chunky plastic belt that's just completely unnecessary. That includes you, Lindsay. No excuses. Every girl in the 2000s was convinced they really needed to add this accessory to all their outfits. So, now that you know all the crazy fads that were popular back in the 2000s, what other fads would you add to this list? Let us know in the comment section below. Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.